Okay, welcome back to the channel. And in today's stream, where we'll be going over what was an amazing weekend of football in this Premier League. I mean, that's part of the reason why all of us looked forward to the Premier League. That's why the transfer window and the preseason are not enough. We need the Premier League. We need this type of football, and this weekend did not disappoint. Whether it was the 3-3 draw between Newcastle and Manchester City, whether it was Arsenal's demolition of Bournemouth, whether it was Chelsea disappointing against Leeds, whether it was Manchester United against Liverpool yesterday, the Premier League always surprises us. And that's part of the reason why all of us love this league so much. That's why it is the best league in world football. And today we'll be going over, you know, a few games, a few highlights, what could have gone better, a few disappointments. Yeah, we'll be going over all of that today. A quick disclaimer I want to make is that we're only 3 games in. As much as people like to say, "Oh, United and Liverpool are in the bottom half of the table," or "Arsenal are at the top of the table." We're only 3 games in. Yes, 3 games is enough for us to begin to make assumptions on how things will go, but they're just that, assumptions. There's still a lot of football to be played. There's still a lot teams can do. The transfer window is not even over, and even if the transfer window is over, there's another one in Jan. Managers could easily improve their squads. I mean, I love to bring up how Pep was able to, I wouldn't say a comeback, but how he was able to improve City to a point when no one was able to catch them in 2021. There's still a lot of football to be played, but as things stand, as week 3 stand, we can talk about it. We can talk about these games and what they tell us of the Premier League right now. So let's just open up the table quickly. We have Arsenal at the top, and also before we even look at that, just look at the table at the moment. City have 7 points. If these 3 games really meant something, then Arsenal would be in the title race. I don't think many fans would predict, at least predicted, that Arsenal would be in the title race, and I don't think Arsenal will be in the title race, even as good as they've been in the first 3 games. I just think that this Arsenal squad, as good as they are, especially the starting 11, and the amazing work that it has done, this team still lacks a few things, especially and when you're talking about the bench department. So yeah, Arsenal is a good team. They're a fantastic squad, and they've done amazing for the past 18 months or so. But I'm not really picking Arsenal to finish second or third this year. Even me picking Arsenal to finish fourth this year was kind of me being optimistic on Arteta's vision. But yeah, so we have Arsenal at the top, City at the bottom, City second, Leeds third, Tottenham fourth, Brighton fifth. Then you have Newcastle, Fulham, Brentford, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, Southampton, Chelsea, Aston Villa, United, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Everton, Wolves, Leicester, and West Ham. We're going to go game by game. Start with Tottenham and Wolves. I mean, yeah, Tottenham do sit fourth. This Tottenham team, I said I predicted Tottenham to finish third this year, and so far I've liked what I've seen. The main reason why I picked them third was because of Conte, and yeah, I've liked what I see. The main thing with Tottenham and their possibilities of challenging for the title or just finishing third this year is really going to come down to how well they play defensively, and I think that's kind of a lot with Conte, who has been able to build great defensive teams throughout the years. But also going forward, they're going to need Kane and Son to be in their best behavior. And so far, at least Kane has not disappointed. I think that's very positive. This wasn't the most, inspiring game. I don't think whenever Wolves play against anyone that is the most inspiring game. I think Wolves play not the best brand of football in the Premier League. But Tottenham came out with the win. Harry Kane with the goal with the milestone. Most goals scored for a single club in the Premier League. Amazing. So yeah, nothing much there to say. Again, with a lot of these games, the games which I think I'll spend the most time on are Leeds against Chelsea, City against Newcastle, and Man U against Liverpool. But yeah, then you have Everton against Forest, which ended 1-1. Forest, which they are, I say Forest are a big club, at least when it comes to English football. I think Forest have done very well this transfer window to bring in the players that they bought in. And yeah, it was a good result against Everton. I think that Everton, to the standards of where they want to be, they're still a long way out. I don't think Everton are going to finish where a lot of Everton fans want them to finish this year. But yeah, again, three games in. So for a lot of these games, I won't really say much. Actually, I was going to speak about every individual game, but that's not really that's not really what I want to do. I want to mainly focus on these three games in particular, and especially Manchester United against Liverpool. I did the stream last night, and I promised I would talk about it more in depth today. Yeah, then you have Leicester 2-1 against Southampton. Again, Leicester not in the best form so far. Brandon Rodgers, something else I saw, Brandon Rodgers, Lampard, and Gerrard, all managers with the job in question at the time. And yeah, it's not looking too good for Leicester. But good job from Southampton. Then Fulham beating Brentford 3-2 at home. Then you have Crystal Palace beating Aston Villa 3-1. Crystal Palace again continuing the great brand of football that they've displayed for the past year. Then you have Arsenal 3-0 against Bournemouth. And as an Arsenal fan, you have to be optimistic. You can call a few of these Arsenal fans delusional, but give credit where credit is due. Arsenal Arteta has done an outstanding job for the past 18 months. They've been excellent. I mean, they've won 3-3 so far this season. The in the summer transfer window, they got out and got the job done. The signing of Jesus, of Vieira, and etc. Arsenal are in a good spot right now. But again, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I don't think Arsenal are going to be contending for the title. And when I say contending, I mean like last year or in previous years where the gap between first and second is close. And by contending, I mean a margin of five to 4 points. That's contending to me. Anything bigger than that, then it really was just a one horse race. But yeah, great job from Arsenal. Great job from Arsenal so far in the league. Uh, where am I? Yeah, games. Then West Ham against Brighton, and Brighton again continuing the great form that they are in. West Ham, they've just had a horrible start to the season. Horrible start to the season, and Brighton taking full advantage again. And then you begin to get to the games that I really wanted to talk about in this live stream. Starting with Leeds against Chelsea. I guess that I was kind of right about Chelsea and where the striker problems start. Actually, I want to open this in SofaScore because I want to look at this more in depth. I actually want to look at the numbers and everything. But yeah, whilst talking about Chelsea and the striker problem, and in the past two games, I think that has been quite evident exactly that. How much Chelsea need, I say any team really needs it, but Chelsea in particular. I, if for a team that's going to compete for the title, you cannot you can't be relying on Harvard and Mason Mount to come through for you and deliver consistent goals and etc. week in and week out. Not if you're going to win the title. You look at the other teams that I think will be contending for the title this year, at least way more likely than Chelsea. Teams like Tottenham, teams like City and Liverpool, teams that you can easily look at those teams and name who are going to get the goals for those teams. Haaland, Salah, Kane, Son. It's easy to identify those guys. But with this Chelsea team, it's not that easy. And look at the way they lined up today. Their midfield was extremely poor. Gallagher and Jorginho had a poor game. Harvard's was almost non-existent. I think he had the lowest. Yeah, Harvard had the lowest rating of any player on the pitch, not counting Mendy. But with Mendy, it was really that horrible mistake he made. He was bound to have the lowest rating in the game. And with Mendy, I don't think that's something that Mendy is going to do a lot. So it is definitely something to be angry about and whatnot. But I don't think it's going to be a be all and end all for the rest of the season. Goalkeepers make mistakes. It happened. I still think that Mendy is a bit overrated. as a goalkeeper, but that doesn't mean I don't think Mendy isn't a great goalkeeper. I think he's overrated because people are trying to put him in tiers that he doesn't belong in. But I still think Mendy is top 10 goalkeepers in the world. Top 10, if you're going to be generous, top five. So that mistake, if I was a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't be too mad about it. Goalkeepers make mistakes; it happens. Hopefully, Mendy doesn't make that again. But I want to talk about Kai Havertz because, especially last year, it was after that I think it was the FA Cup round. Yeah, the FA Cup round against Liverpool, where Havertz also had a poor game and was non-existent. A question is, will Havertz ever reach a level? And although it isn't the best thing to do predictions on young players like that, because how old is Havertz? Havertz is only 23 years old. He turned 23 this year. There's still a lot of football that Havertz can play, but he's not consistent. And as talented as Havertz is, because the talent is definitely there, we've seen it at Leverkusen, we've seen it at times with Chelsea. Just the consistency is not there. And look at his performance. He was the poorest player on the pitch. Poorest player on the pitch. Lost possession 13 times in total. Only of the 11 deals he had, the ground deals, he only won three. I mean, zero crosses, zero long balls, one key pass. Didn't complete a single dribble. Poor performance from this man. Poor performance. And although I'm also going to talk about Kai Havertz, I don't know. I don't want to ignore Raheem Sterling, because in an optimistic view, I don't have Chelsea finishing in the top. I don't have Chelsea finishing in the top four this year. I also actually picked Chelsea to finish fifth this season, and the only way I really see Chelsea finishing inside the top four this year is if guys like Sterling, like Havertz, like Mount step up. But performances like this aren't going to help. This inconsistency in this Chelsea team is not going to help. I said that Chelsea, they do need a striker, but that Sterling would be a player that could contribute with those goals and assists. But so far, that has not been the case. He's not been consistent at all. And he's also not shown many signs of that. I mean, just look at his numbers on screen right now. And sure, this was a game where Chelsea were poor. This is a game where they go completely outplayed. And Tuchel was outclassed tactically as well. But you need more from your players, especially your star players. Havertz, Sterling, horrible game. And I'm talking about Havertz and Sterling, but I also don't want to let off the hook that likes of Jorginho. Gallagher as well had a poor game. I mean, you could also say that Gallagher was kind of thrown in the mud in this game. It's a lot of work to do with this Chelsea team, and that's part of the reason. Again, it's only the third game, but as I said, you can begin to make assumptions on the football that you see and the decisions that the managers make. It's part of the reason why I didn't pick Chelsea to finish inside the top four this year. I don't think that this Chelsea team is better than Arsenal, Tottenham, City, or Liverpool. Good side, but not that good. And with the performance that Manchester United put in, and with the work that Ten Hag will possibly do in the signing of Casemiro, Chelsea may find themselves not even finishing in the top five. They may finish in the top six. There's a lot of work to do with the Chelsea team, and I mean a lot of work to do. Maybe a few signings to still sign us. People were talking about not signing Aubameyang. I think Aubameyang would be crucial to this Chelsea team. I think Chelsea need a striker. They need that someone that can, that they can rely upon to score those goals, because you can't really rely on Sterling and Kai Havertz to do that. As good as Mount was last year, if you're looking at where most of his goals came from, it was clearly against a weaker opposition. Not to discredit what Mount did last year, but you need someone to really rely on. I don't think that Mount scoring 11 and assisting 10 like he did last year, I don't think that's Mount. That's something Mount is going to do on a consistent basis at the moment. But yeah, that's also, I want to leave that game there for a bit. Going back now, I want to talk about the Man City game. About the Man City game against Newcastle. Did a live stream to this game, so this was definitely a game that I watched live. And before we even start to talk about um, what the teams did well, what the teams did wrong. I want to just big up this guy, say Maxime. He was amazing throughout the game, and I was talking about in the first 20 minutes of the game before anyone had even scored how much pace, how much space City were giving Saint Maxime, and how every single time this man was on the ball, he was making the right decision. And City did not rectify that. And look, he was the player with the lowest rating on the pitch, Kyle Walker. It's, it's like I do it on purpose. Yeah, it's kind of understandable why Kyle Walker was the poorest rating on the pitch of any player. Of any player, he was just Saint Maxime had him on his pocket. That left hand side, City's right hand side, defensively, they were poor, extremely poor. And Saint Maxime explored them every single time. I liked what I saw from this Newcastle team. If there's a team that could perhaps break into the top six this year, it would be this Newcastle team. And there's a lot of talk of the new owners, of the amount of money that Newcastle are going to spend. When you're talking about a gradual rebuild, I'm liking what I see with this team. I also want to, big up Bruno Guimaraes because whenever as I watched him throughout the game, he was also making the right decisions over and over again. He was tenacious. He wasn't scared to put a tackle in. Whenever he got the ball, he was calm, confident, and tried to play the right pass. Really like what I saw from Guimaraes as well. There's a lot of Pope was incredible. Pope was incredible as well. That's why he has the highest rating, the second highest rating in the Newcastle team. I was trying to look up Pope's numbers quickly. He was immense. 7 saves. The runouts he made, they were both successful. He was incredible. Pope was incredible in that game. Extremely incredible, extremely impressive. And again, I'm really liking what I'm seeing with this Newcastle side. But now with the City side, what I really want to talk about City is how I picked this team to finish to win the league, to win it all, not to finish. I was going to say to finish in the top four. No, I picked City to win the whole thing because I think that this is an amazing side. I think that Guardiola is still the best manager in the world. So, yeah, and not only that, but I was looking at the rest of the league and I couldn't really see anyone overtaking what City are doing. Not Liverpool, not Tottenham. Although I do think that those teams do have an opportunity to compete this year, I don't really see neither of them overtaking the City side. In this game, it was a poor game. It was a poor game. Again, not to discredit Newcastle, they came in strong, and the last two goals were a testament to City's character. But yeah, I'm not really going to say anything. I'm not going to say much negative about City because again, there are a few new players, and by a few I mean Haaland taking up the number 9 spot, and which has kind of um made the City team to make a few adjustments, and it will take some time to for City to adapt to those adjustments. But even talking about those adjustments, Haaland didn't have the best of games. He, throughout the game, he wasn't putting in the performance of performances, but he still scored, and that's what you're gonna get with a player like Haaland. That's why a player like Haaland is so important. He'll get your goals regardless. He'll get a goal regardless. That's why the City team is so scary. Again, that's why I picked them to finish first, and that's why I'm picking them to win the Champions League as well. Is they do everything else perfectly, defending, pressing, the quick, beautiful Pep Guardiola style football. They have Haaland. But yeah, this City game, this performance from City wasn't the best. However, it was just about the adjustments that they need to make to get back to where they were. So you look at where City were last year. They were on a high. They were almost for the. I think I'm talking about the last 10 to 15 games. They were almost perfect, and if not perfect, like completely perfect. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do, but I still believe that this City team is going to win the league. It's not because Arsenal won the first 3 games of the season that I'm going to pick Arsenal over City. No way. But yeah, now I want to leave this game and talk about the best game of the round. I thought that City. I mean, you can say that City game was more entertaining. I guess you could say that, but the game last night, of Manchester United against Liverpool was, in my opinion, the game of the round. Maybe I'm being bashed because I'm a United fan, but I love this game, and this is really the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about in this live stream today. And to start off, I'm definitely going to take more of a Manchester United approach to this game. Again, I'm a Manchester United fan, but just how poor both teams have been throughout the first two games of the season. Again, do not make assumptions of only the start of the league. However, these two they've been extremely poor, especially United, losing 2-0 to Brighton in the first round, 2-1 to Brighton in the first game of the season, and then losing 4-0 in embarrassing fashion to Brentford, where they averaged a goal every 10 minutes in the first half. It was an embarrassing performance. So coming into this game, both teams were trying to prove themselves. Biggest game is in English football, and Manchester United came out on top. Another thing I'm going to say before I actually dive deeper into this game and the positives and negatives and whatnot is this team. This is a team that this United team they beat Liverpool, and the amount of work that still needs to be put into this team. I mean, just Casemiro that wasn't even available to play. The likes of De Jong is still not here. There's just so much this United team can do, but at the same time, there's so many positives to take from that game. And I think the biggest positive, the biggest takeaway is this centre back partnership of Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane. Yes, the football was fluid at times. Yes, Rashford and Sancho were clinical, and those are also big things to take away from this game. But the partnership between Martinez and Varane, it's just this. It was probably the best defensive partnership I've seen from a United duo for years. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't really remember of any game really. Probably in 5 to 6 years, maybe even more than that. Ever since Ferguson, I'm talking, but I can't really think about Manchester United duo since like post the Ferguson era. They even comes close to the performance that these two put in. Two man of the match worthy performances. The aggressiveness and just willingness to fight and keep going for Martinez. And underrated aspect of Martinez that I didn't really see a lot of people talking about is how good he is on the ball. Like when being pressed, the amount of time I just saw him pinging balls to Malacia and Elanga. This guy's extremely incredible. And then with Varane, he's the Rolls Royce of this defense. Perfect every single time. Every single time he was called upon, he was amazing. I don't really see Maguire starting again. I don't really see why Maguire would start again. It was a big move from Ten Hag, a move that I think should have happened a long time ago. But because it didn't happen ago, that's why I think it was such a big move. Finally dropping Maguire. And another thing I don't understand is why didn't you drop Maguire sooner? If you're talking about the three games, which of the three games so far have had? I mean, in which of the three games has Ten Hag really had to play his best centre back partnership? Not in the first game of the season, not in the second game of the season, and now like in this game he played the players that he trusted. So it's clearly that he trusts Lisandro Martinez and Varane more than he does Maguire. So why didn't he just start Martinez and run from the start of the season? Maybe we wouldn't have lost 2-1 to Brighton or 4-0 to Brentford. You know, hindsight is 2020, but if you really trust these guys more than you trust Maguire, why did Maguire even start? I don't really see Maguire starting again over these guys. Not in the near future, not until the end of the season. I just don't see it happening. They were amazing, both of them. Amazing performances, calm, cool, collected, tenacious when they needed to be. Every time they were called upon, they were almost perfect, if not perfect, at every single time. Very, very positive takeaway from Varane and Martinez's performances. Then I think the second biggest takeaway is Rashford and Sancho finally doing their job, finally scoring. I even made a video that can Rashford, Sancho, and Martial do it this season. And in this game, they showed that they can do it. If Martinez and Varane continue to play like that, if they start week in and week out, they will make mistakes. I mean, knock on wood, they don't make too many mistakes, but they will make mistakes. every centre back partnership, they make mistakes. No one's perfect. This is football. This is the Premier League. They will make some mistakes, but overall, if they can be, you know, consistently good, and if Sancho and Rashford can contribute each with 10 goals this season, or at least 10 goal contributions from each, I don't. I'm get really, and then Casemiro comes in and um seals that hole in the midfield that has been in this team for years now. And then Bruno and Ericsson continue to create a partnership there in the midfield. This Manchester United team I could really see this team finishing in the top four. I predicted United to finish sixth, at least on paper. That's why I think my predictions were based on paper where I thought each team was at the beginning of the season. City first, Liverpool second, Tottenham third, Arsenal fourth, Chelsea fifth, and United sixth. But if Ten Hag can make this work, and if there's a man that could make this work, he's definitely Ten Hag. I could see United finishing in the top four. It won't be comfortably, it won't be pretty, it will take a lot of work. But if the players do put in the work and if Ten Hag makes the right calls, it definitely can happen. What was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, yeah. Another takeaway you can take away from this United side is Rashford should never play up front again. Like Rashford from the first half and Rashford from the second half is night and day. That's because Rashford is way better on the left wing. We've known this for years now. Rashford on the left wing is a different player because he can use his pace, exploit his pace, especially when he's going against the likes of Trent and Gomez and Harvey Elliott, who are consistently making mistakes. And that's what Rashford did. He exploited that open space that Trent and Gomez gave him after that amazing pass from Martial. Even if not against Liverpool and not against Trent and Gomez, Rashford should play on the left every single time because that's where we see the best markers. Up front, he's poor, extremely poor. I don't think Martial is the best striker in the league, but Martial's off ball play and even just link up plays is miles better than Rashford. Rashford should not play up front. He doesn't know how to play up front. Play him on the wing. That's why he's much better. And then with the guy Sancho, there's been a lot of criticism around Sancho, and deservedly so. Rashford as well. But with both of them today, like the chance that each of the chances they got. I mean, let me just double check. I think they only got one big chance each. Where's the big chances missed? Blocked shots, interception, possessions lost. Okay, never mind. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it is certain. Anyways, the one big chances each of them got, they scored, and that's what these guys need to do. Again, we need at least 10 goal contributions from each of them for United to compete for top four this season. And if they continue in this form, I don't see why not. I think that Bruno and Ericsson went the best in this game. I think both of them still need to do a lot of work. But yeah, great performance from the lads. Malacia as well. I said that on my preview for the watch along yesterday, that Malacia was being thrown under the bus, and if he had a good performance against Salah and Trent, which I think he did, and the goal wasn't his fault, and it came from a corner, which I think he did, that it would really be hard for sure to take his spot. Not only is Malacia a Ten Hag signing, not only is Malacia younger, not only is Malacia willing to work harder, but everything in between as well is technically he's better as well. There's so many things that Malacia brings, and the fact that he's a player that Ten Hag chose, it's going to be very difficult for Luke Shaw going forward. Luke Shaw has a lot of work to do, like a lot of work to do, if he wants to get back into the starting 11. Because after that performance that Malacia put up against Salah, arguably the best player in the world, of course you can throw in Benzema, you can throw in Lewandowski or Mbappe, but there is a case there to be made about Salah. He still scored in this poor game that Liverpool played, which just shows how amazing of a player he is. For Malacia to have the performance that he did yesterday, it's not looking good for Luke Shaw. From the Liverpool side, I'm going to say Liverpool did not play their best football. United definitely exploited. I definitely think that Ten Hag won this battle over Klopp. But at the same time, just look at the amount of injured players that Liverpool have. And again, just the first 3 games of the season, I still have Liverpool finishing second. I'm not going to change that. I still think that they're one of the best teams in the Premier League. And although I think this is a great result from United, Liverpool are still Liverpool. You know, if I was a Liverpool fan, I would not be happy about this performance at all. Losing to my biggest rival in this manner after they've been so poor for the first 2 games is, you know, irritating. But I want to be losing my cool over this alone. You know, there's a lot of things that Liverpool can still improve upon. And what I said about City kind of applies to Liverpool as well. A few new players, a few key pieces. It's going to take some adaptation time for them to get back to the groove that they were in at the end of last season, which Liverpool were also almost perfect. That 1 point difference, both teams were amazing. It's amazing for the last 10, 15 games. It was amazing to see where both Liverpool and City were. Just look at this. Darwin was suspended. Thiago was injured. Curtis Jones was out. Konate was out. Matip was out. Chamberlain was out. Diogo Jota was out. Just 7 key players straight away out. You know, and you shouldn't really use that as an excuse. Liverpool still have a great team, but let's not make a fuss about this. And yeah, Casemiro in next against Southampton. It will be very, very interesting to see. But yeah, guys, this is it. This is the end of the stream. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you if you've watched this live. Thank you for watching this afterwards. It really means a lot. As I said at the end of every video, this is just the beginning of something special. So if you want football content like this, if you want shorts, tier lists, watch alongs, live streams like this throughout the week, make sure to subscribe and be part of the channel.